Provocative popsicles. I want it free. Can you move? No. And more in today's video. What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Copy Narrates, and today we are doing more Reddit readings, and these come from r/EntitledPeople. So let's get into today's first story, shall we? Which comes from Days Missile. Stranger on the street demands my chocolate popsicle because it's provoking. And when I looked down the bottom, up he meant provocative, but didn't know the English word for it. So yep, just like you read it, I'm still confused, and this happened almost a week ago. So I was coming back from university the other day, and in my country it's almost spring, so it was very hot out. I had some extra money in my pocket after buying some notes for a class I had to attend. So I decided I could buy a popsicle, at least that's how it's called in English. It's one of those cylinder ice creams in a stick. And I found a gas station that sold one of my childhood favourites, a Nesquik Pop. So I said, why not? I was walking back home eating my popsicle, and on that, I passed next to some boy and girl couple. Mind you, I don't know these people, but they seemed roughly my age. Then suddenly the girl yells at me, "Hey, could you please stop that?" Yelled. I was honestly confused, and at first I didn't turn around, thinking she was maybe speaking to someone that could be behind me. Not that I saw anyone, but hey, not my business, I figured. But then she yelled at me again, until she grabbed my shoulder, to which I struggled and looked at her confused. "What?" I finally asked, as I looked at her. I wasn't annoyed, but definitely confused. The boy also was looking at her and trying to signal her to stop, like shaking his hands left and right. I don't know how to call it. Do you know how disgusting it is? You were provoking my boyfriend while eating that popsicle, she asked me. By then I was like, what the F? Excuse me? I simply asked, confused. You should give it to me. If anyone should try to provoke him, it's me, you damn B-word. By then I wasn't quite understanding, but the boy simply told her to stop and walked away with her, not before apologizing to me. I am honestly so confused. And Excedra commented down below to help up a bit. So to some people, the act of eating a popsicle or a banana or a lollipop or even a freaking potato, they see as being provocative. It's not you, it is their sick mind. There is a reason the boyfriend was shaking his head and pulling her away. He knew she was acting crazy. And someone replies to that with, the amazing thing is that he left with her and didn't just take off running during this scene. Yeah, Opie, sorry you had to deal with that. That is weird. I don't know what goes through people's minds. I think, like, I don't even think they think about what's going on in their mind. But yeah, weird one. Give me your popsicle and stop being provocative to my boyfriend. How dare you eat it in your mouth? What else does she expect Opie to do with the popsicle? Oh dear lord, let's not go there. Crazy people. Our next story comes from Ecstatic Jeweler 7419. Woman leaves a negative Yelp review because we didn't offer our services for free. Oh, this should be a good one. My father and I run a small watch and jewelry business. A while ago, a woman came in and asked for a number of links to be taken out of her watch. We measured her watch against her wrist and made sure she was happy with the fit. My father then removed the links and gave her back the watch. She was unhappy with the fit and said it was too tight. My dad told her it was no problem and he added more on. She tried it again, but was now unhappy because the fit was too loose for her. My dad then removed more. Essentially, this went on for a while. Once she was happy, she put her watch back on and started walking towards the door. I said, "Excuse me, you forgot to pay." She turned around with an angry expression and said, "What? Why would I have to pay for this? It's just a few links. Anyone else would have done this for free." I told her that unfortunately, we would be unable to offer her our services for free, and I pointed to the large price list next to the counter, which she had clearly seen. Besides, my dad had just spent a considerable amount of time on the task due to her indecisiveness. I was shocked that she expected our services for free. She then started complaining and naming XYZ jewelry stores that would have done this for free. My dad explained to her that he would be unable to work for free for her and that he has rent and bills to pay for the store. This whole time we were very calm and respectful, but she was behaving as though she'd been severely wronged. She relented in the end and paid the excruciating £5. Yes, £5, which clearly drove her to bankruptcy. She stormed off and I thought that would be the end of her, but I came across a review and it brought back the shock and sadness I felt for my dad. I came across a Yelp review again recently. I sometimes check the reviews we receive, and it just made my blood boil. In the review, she states that she expected the services for free and says she would have happily paid a nominal £1 or two. That's the part that I find most insulting, even more insulting than her complaining. It honestly shocks me that people will pay £5 for a terrible chain coffee, oh god, Starbucks, with a cute name brand on it, but won't pay $5 for services from a small business. My dad is a genuine craftsman and has spent decades perfecting his work. You aren't paying for the time it takes to do something, which was quite long anyway, because the customer couldn't make a mind up. You're paying for her expertise and experience. So his expertise and experience. Sure, taking out links and putting in new ones isn't the most onerous job, but refusing to pay someone for work they have done is straight up disrespectful and entitled. Anyway, rant over. Thank you for listening to me, and please support your local small businesses. Note, resizing is included in the price of any watch purchased from our store, but she had purchased her watch elsewhere. My dad was also taking out the number of links she was telling him to, but she was just indecisive. How could she not figure out how big her wrists are and exactly what size she wanted to watch? Like, this is the part that I don't understand, is like, how could she be like, oh yes, this is too loose, can you take some links out? And then like, your dad measures it and everything and says, right, so about that many? And then he's like, yeah, about that many, that feels about right. So he takes out those links, and then she tries it on, and she's like, oh no, that's too tight, and wants more links put in. Like, surely it'd be like 1 or 2 maybe at most. Probably maybe like 1, because it's just a little bit too tight. But why would it be like, she needs like additional 2 or 3 plus put back in? Like, I don't know. I feel like she was just trying to be a pain. And someone says in the comments down below, Crybaby Central, if it was free elsewhere, why did you visit your establishment then? She's ridiculous, and I sized watches for a nominal fee when I was in jewelry sales. It's not free. And yeah, that's disgusting, and I'm glad your dad at least got paid and she didn't like run off with, you know, out the door, because people do that. People do that where they run out on service. It happens quite often, and that is pretty bad for small businesses when people do that. Especially if you don't have cameras or you can't get an accurate description of them. It can be a pain to get payment. And even if you do, it could still be more costly than the payment's worth. Like, this is £5, right? So how much more would it cost to actually chase down someone who owed you £5? Right? I don't know. It's shocking. Let me know what you guys think about this one down below. Our next story comes from Loogie125. Pro tip, don't remove your bottle of cognac from the duty-free bag if you have a connecting flight. I think that's good advice. My local airport recently changed their security screen to take place just before you get to the gate, whereas it used to be done before you entered the airside zone. You get your ID and boarding pass checked before you enter the airside zone. I just happened to be walking past a European woman having an issue with airport security on my way to the lounge to get a bite to eat and wait for my flight. Given the limited English level of the airport security personnel, I went up offering to help. Hi mom, what's going on here? So the woman explains that she bought a bottle of cognac in her Origin Airport's duty-free store. However, since it was over 100 milliliters, 3.5 American units, I don't know what American units are. Weirdos using some foreign measuring system. Milliliters are perfectly fine. How dare you switch? Who do you think you are? That's a joke, by the way. Security wouldn't let it through. The woman is freaking out, saying, so she tells me to go to the airline counter. I ask her where, and she points in that direction. I don't know where to go. Okay, mom, security is just doing their job. Let me talk to them in native language. So you want the woman to go check her bag because the bottle is over the limit, right? Security replies, yeah. She needs to go check her bag at the departures level, but she's been yelling at us because her flight leaves at 4 PM. it was 3:15 p.m. Keep in mind that the flight hasn't started boarding yet. Meet a woman. Okay, mom. Even though you are a connecting passenger, you still have to clear security before you can board the flight. But my flight is about to leave. I cannot go, she says. OP. Okay, listen to me. The rules apply to everyone. You, me, and everyone. I have to clear security as well. Unfortunately, you have two options. Check the bag. This airline doesn't charge for checked luggage. Or throw away your bottle. Why? I bought it from airport duty free. I have the receipt here, she says. Me to security. Wait, so she needs the duty free bag, right? I remember passing through a few weeks ago and the duty free bag went through fine. Security, yep. Sealed duty free bag with receipt inside. I showed the lady a picture of a sealed security bag. Look, internationally, if you bought any liquid from duty free, they will put it in this bag. This is international law. Can I actually see the bottle? She opens up her suitcase and both me and security see the issue. She took the cognac out of the sealed bag. Mom, you took it out of the bag. That airport duty free put it in. Two options. If you're scared of missing your flight, throw it away, or I'll direct you to the check-in counters. Why can't security direct me, she says. I think they didn't understand you. Their English level isn't that great. That's why I stopped by to help you. Now you have to go to departures, level 4, counter F for airline. What you do is follow the blue signs that say baggage claim, walk out the baggage claim, take the escalator up 2 floors, and go to counter F on the right. I still don't know where to go, she says. Do you want me to walk with you? I'll point the direction after the intersection so you have an idea. Okay, fine, thank you, she says. I walk with her to an intersection, pointing at blue signs for baggage claim and telling her to follow the blue signs all the way. When we got to the intersection, she realised it's another 200-metre walk to the baggage claim. Oh my god, that is a long way, she says. Well, that's the only way you're going to save your bottle of cognac. Now remember, go up to departures, 2 floors up from the baggage claim, counter F, you got that. Okay, thank you so much, she says. You're very welcome, says OP. Once I turned away to head to the airline's lounge for a drink, I let out a huge sigh. Whew, that was crazy. Just because you're about to miss your flight doesn't mean the rules don't apply to you. Then OP writes LPT, which I have no idea what LPT stands for, which a duty-free shop should have told the lady. Don't take liquid products out from the sealed bag until you arrive at your last destination. After customs and immigration, I should add. And OP just says that they're frequent flyers, that's why I'm very familiar with my local airport. Electrical Stable 498 says, I don't think she was being entitled, I just think it was a language barrier. And OP replies that saying that she wanted to get through security with her bottle of cognac and tried to convince them to let her through. And I actually don't think this woman was being entitled in this one. I think she was in a foreign airport, she had security telling her to go somewhere with them. There's a language barrier. She knows her flight is soon. Obviously, it's not immediate, but she knows her flight's coming up, and she doesn't quite understand what's going on. So I can understand from some level of her anxiety, stress, and confusion, and she's being told these things, but not fully understanding what they're trying to tell her. She's trying to talk to them, they're not fully understanding what she's saying. They're pointing at her, telling her that she has to go this way or come with them. And I can see how that would be stressful in the moment, and how, you know, logic and reason might go out the window because you're in a foreign place, you have people telling you to do something, you're not understanding what they're wanting from you, they're trying to make you go somewhere that you don't know where you're going, and that can make people anxious, especially women. And given what's happened from people in authority, who work in security, who work in police, who work in other institutions, who have power and the ability to, and authority to control people, right? I can understand from her perspective why she was very stressed out and was worried and concerned and just didn't really know what was going on. It was nice of OP to help her, and I think that definitely de-escalated the situation and got her to where she needed to be and got the problem off security right. But I also do think at the same time that she wasn't being entitled, she was just stressed out, worried about her flight, language barriers, got people in uniforms who were presumably men telling a woman that she has to go this way with them or to a place that they're telling her to go to, not really understanding what's going on and feeling a little bit of distress there. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this one down below. Our next story comes from Bailey the Nerd. I'll move when they get back. Last night, my fiance and a couple of family members and I all went out to see a concert. The concert was excellent, but I do believe we've had the displeasure of meeting one of those most entitled concertgoers I've ever met on this planet. While my dad and I were up grabbing drinks in between bands, a man roughly the size and shape of a minivan shoved his way past my fiance and double parked his ass butt on mine and my dad's seats. The conversation with my fiance proceeds as follows. Fiance, excuse me, someone's sitting there. Minivan. Okay. Can you please move? That's my fiance's seat. Minivan. I'll move if he comes back. Fiance, he's definitely coming back. Minivan. My seat's up there, points close to the stage. I'll move when he gets back. Approximately 4 minutes of the minivan ignoring my beloved later, I showed back up from getting the drinks, not having checked my phone. This minivan must have had a powerful engine, because in the time I was processing my confusion at this man in my seat, he leapt up and sheepishly returned to himself to the seat closer to the stage he was originally in. Part of me is glad that I hadn't checked my text beforehand, because I would have absolutely gotten kicked out for knocking this rude man on his butt. But the entire situation was so damn perplexing, he managed to scurry away while I was still processing his entitlement. What's more confusing in this story is, this guy's seats were closer than yours, so why on earth would you want to sit further back? Surely if you're like at a concert or something, you'd want to be like as close to the stage and as close to the action as possible, right? And this guy was just like, no, I just want to randomly take someone's seat at the back because I'm gonna do that, and if you don't like it, well, sucks for you, doesn't it? And yeah, that's just weird and confusing. And our next story comes from Fit Muscle 4668. A neighbor asked me when I'm cleaning an apartment. First time posting, also English is my first language. I, male 37, upstairs neighbor was found after 3 days, lying on the floor of his apartment. An ambulance took him away. I heard the banging on his floor, found out what happened, and spent the next 3 days finding out which neighbor had the spare key, and rescued his dog. Oh, poor puppy. A sweet 18-year-old Jack Russell. Poor old puppy. 18 years is good going for a dog. So far it's been 3 weeks that I have been taking care of this dog. Bought food, showered her, 4 walks a day, the works. I live in a Hasidic Jewish neighborhood, which means that very few people have dogs. No one else would have taken her, but she is very recognizable in the neighborhood. An older woman from the building next door asked me if this dog was my sick neighbor's. I said yes. She then asked me when I'm going to clean his apartment. I asked her, why doesn't she? She got all flustered at me. My sick neighbor is a widower without kids. He doesn't really know how to treat a dog, but he loves her and spoils her like a child. He's a lovely man, but clearly with problems I won't go into. His apartment was a biohazard. It's a shame that there's nobody that can like help this guy. Like even if it's just someone to come in to clean like an hour a day. I feel like that should be a thing for all people, so they're not alone, they have someone to talk to for an hour. Someone just to potter around and clean up a few bits, you know, make sure the dishes are done and just, yeah. Edit and update. The story isn't to complain about any community. Most communities are more complex than what they seem. And while I would not like to live the way ultra-Orthodox live, I have no problem with them living how they wish. I wouldn't want to be Amish either. I do have a problem with their political leaders, but we can live in disagreement. Please don't make this a race thing. I am not an immigrant here. The lady was just assuming things because I was helping. Apparently my grandpa was her doctor. My neighbour is still in rehabilitation. Doggo is still with us until his pop is better. I'm glad the neighbour's in rehabilitation, and I hope that means that things are progressing well, and that he's getting better and stuff, and that he'll be home soon. I just really wish there was something like that could be done to help the neighbour, like if people went in once a week, not once a week, sorry, an hour a day to clean and talk to the guy and something. I feel like that should just be a general community outreach thing for elderly people. It'd also give people who are struggling to find a job, right, like a reliable job or anything, like it would give them work to do, and it would be meaningful work as well. You'd spend your day going from place to place, tidying up for all people, checking in on them, making sure they're okay, having a chat with them, making them feel less isolated in the community and like they're valued and cared for, because they are valued and cared for. You know, they worked hard for a long time and our views may not always lie, chimes and opinions change. That doesn't excuse bad beliefs or views or hatefulness that some people have. But there's just some things where you might not agree politically on topics, or you might prefer a new way of doing things and they don't. Like many people who are elderly wish the internet didn't exist, and then there's people who are young who are adamantly the opposite and find great value and immense joy from the internet, right? It'd be nice if we kept engaged with our elderly populations around the entire world and just offered them support and kindness and let them know that they still matter. To have someone go in once a day and say, "Yeah, how are you doing? You alright? You taking care of yourself? You're looking well?" Ask them about the day, ask them what they've been up to. Let me know what you guys think down below. Do you think that should be a thing as well? Like, I think honestly it should just be a thing for elderly people. And I feel bad for this old man because I feel like half the reason he ended up in the position he ended up was because he didn't have someone who could check in on him and just, make sure that he's okay and everything. Our next story comes from Little Miss Ace. Entitled woman on train in Europe. Whilst on holiday, my boyfriend and I decided to use public transport. I am a wheelchair user, and as we got into the train, a woman with a stroller followed us on. The woman parked the stroller in a disabled space, and then leaned over me and my wheelchair as I was negotiating myself into the only other wheelchair space to put her large shopping bags inside space. I had to sharply tell her I needed that space, and she reluctantly moved said bags. Oh dear Lord, OP. I am also a wheelchair user, and this has happened to me. And Wheelie Rainbow in the comments posts as well, and says, "It's such a crappy entitled behaviour. I understand being out with babies, small children in public is challenging, but able-bodied parents have so many more options than wheelchair users, and this person just sounds entitled. Yes, their option is collapse their stroller. That's for a start. Collapse your damn stroller and sit down on a seat and hold your baby in your arms like a normal person." But they don't want to do that. They literally don't ever want to do that. And the commenter continues with, "Solidarity from me. I'm also a wheelchair user and avoid public transport whenever possible because I'm done with people like this. I once had to ask a member of station staff to ask someone to move from the wheelchair space. That person then spent the next hour leaning on my chair, trying to hang their bag on my chair and complaining loudly on the phone to someone that they'd been forced to stand for several stops longer than she actually had. I shut down and tried to tolerate it, which I still kick myself about. I guess the upside of this being so common is that it didn't take me long to learn to tell people to back off." And yes, I can agree with that sentiment. I have actually shouted at people for this. And as for the whole leaning on chairs and stuff and trying to put stuff on them, you know what happens when you do that? You get crushed. And I'm not joking. If you try and shove me, bash on the back of a chair, try and hang stuff on it, flip and reverse into you, and I don't care because you're assaulting me at that point. It is part of my physical presence. It's part of my physical space. It is part of me. And when you touch a part of me, I have the right to defend myself. So when you shove me, lean on me, or try to put objects on me that could be potentially dangerous, I will react in the same manner. And yes, putting bags on wheelchairs is dangerous because the weight can make a chair fall over, depending on what it is and where you put it. People don't understand this. They just think it doesn't matter. But it could actually cause a serious accident, or it could get trapped and cause an accident. So yeah, this is serious. And it's so disgusting that this happens. But oh well, what are you gonna do? You can't change anything. That's just the way people are sometimes. Anyways guys, thanks for watching the video. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. I will see you guys in the next one. I hope you've enjoyed these stories, and peace out guys.